What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Food Fitness Family Podcast. It is me, Big Daddy Blankenship, with the Mr. Beautiful Marcus Gates. As always, if you guys like the content, if you like us, like and subscribe. It helps boost us in the algorithm. You can always find me at _fitness_91 on Instagram. You can find Marcus at Thriving Life Fitness on Instagram. Like us, leave us a comment, let us know what you like. And what do you want to hear? Let's go. Did you like that?
I did. That was a good one.
I've been listening.
Let's keep that rolling.
Yeah, so I started listening to the New Heights podcast because they have a lot of ex-NFL players on there, so I like to listen to that stuff.
Yeah.
And dude, they have great intros, and I was like, man, I feel like I'm missing out so much here. So I was like, I just fucking wung it.
Let's go, Big Daddy Blankenship.
Yeah, that's what I do.
That was on the money, man. And our special guest today is Danney Elmore from Underestimated Apparel, and then also a lot of other places that we're going to kind of get into today as well.
Yeah, because I have no idea, so I'm excited to hear this too.
Okay.
But
entrepreneur, dude.
As always, let's get into our last 7 days. Marcus, how's your last 7 days?
Dude, the last 7 days were good. Well, actually, the last 14 days because we didn't record.
We didn't record, yeah.
Yeah, so we went on our baby moon down in Miami for like 5 or 6 days, which was great. On the way back, however, I don't know if it was just the lack of sleep or something. I came down with something on Thursday on the way back home, slept for like 24 hours, finally felt better by Friday and Saturday. And then what was the Saturday we had the S2 barbecue, which was awesome. I was only there for a couple hours of it, but Body Shop did great, Underestimated did great, and it was a pretty cool turnout. And then aside from that, though, of course, I come back from vacation after spending money, and I think the last week I've lost like 7 clients due to just various things, like people's transmissions going out in their cars. Some people
it's because you went on vacation and you posted about it, so they hate you.
Yeah, no, fuck them. No, but a couple people were good things. Like my ultimate goal for a lot of people is that once we can get to their end goal results and get to the end goal of actually being able to maintain those, then it's like, hey, go do this on your own. And so some of those people kind of graduated, if you will, with that. But yeah, man, when it rains, it pours. When you lose one, it feels like you end up losing 6 or 7 like that. But it's all good. We'll bounce back with it.
Yeah, man, I kind of feel you there. Like, God, it has been a whirlwind. God, we had the Body Shop grand opening, which was huge. We had a ton of people out there. Danney was out there. We probably had 10 different local vendors. We probably had, I would say, 5 to over 500 people come through. It was pretty good. It wasn't quite the signups I was expecting, which is okay, because honestly, later that week, the week after, we signed up like 16 people that were all from the grand opening. So that was pretty cool. Then the next week we had the S2 barbecue. That was pretty dope. I always love doing events like that. I love getting out and meeting the community and reaching more people and just like helping as many people as possible. And the bench press contest is always a lot of fun because there's always a lot of shit talking. And you guys know I love to shit talk. So yeah, man, it's always a lot of fun with clients. I've had a lot of good client wins lately. I feel like I'm back kind of on my game. I think I signed up like probably 6 people last week, but of course, as you get a big influx, you have some fall off. So I think between like Sunday and yesterday, I had like 4 fall off, but all for various reasons, and they're all pretty good reasons. And one was just because she never sent one single check-in. It is what it is, though. I'll keep adding clients. It feels nice to get back and adding clients again. I had 2 consults yesterday. And just got a big week planned, getting ready for my baby girl to be here any day. We thought she was coming like yesterday because she was hella low all day.
What's the due date?
The 15th. Yeah, so we're 37 weeks yesterday. Okay, cool. Or wait, no, what's today? Tuesday? 37 weeks today.
Yeah, so any day now.
Yeah, I'm trying. I was kind of hoping she was going to come yesterday because like Tuesday's a great day to go into labor because it's not Monday check-in day.
There you go. Come on, baby girl. Time it right.
Yeah, don't screw me here. Other than that, man, Danney, how was your last 7 days? 14, I guess we'll go with the trend.
14. Yeah. So I got held up at one of my restaurants with like a permitting issue, so I had to stop there. A new one that I'm trying to open. But God works in mysterious ways, and 5 days later we wound up buying another one. So maybe we had to stop on that one so we could see this other one. So that was a win. if we're going to go 14 days starting from the body shop pop-up, that went really well for us. It was nice to be that close and local. Feels like Lee Summit doesn't do a lot community wise unless you're like working with the chamber, which we do. But as far as like the fitness and like just general community, kind of like the S2 thing that we were at most recently this Saturday. So it was nice to be in Lee Summit and see someone hosting something that was just open to the public like that. I think Lee Summit needs more of that, especially Lee Summit's like becoming the new Johnson County. Like it is up and coming. It's where people want to be. So the more of these events that we throw, the more the people that are moving here and do live here realize, hey, it was a good choice.
For sure.
So that was really good for us. My car had gotten hit by a lady the day before 4th of July. So I got to get the car in and get it started on getting fixed, and got a rental. So that was nice to not be driving around a clunker. That's refreshing. And then the S2 pop-up, which went really well. I got to see a lot of people that we've either talked to on Instagram or have made purchases through us online, and got to meet them in person. So that was kind of cool. And then yesterday just started working on a deck, hit the church, did an insane leg workout at Body Shop on Sunday, which was miserable.
What I like to hear.
There's so many toys there to just destroy yourself with.
So what?
I said there's so many toys there just to destroy yourself with.
We did an hour and 10 minutes of squats. Like, we never left the squat machine.
Well, that sounds awful.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so that's been my last 14 days.
Busy. It
That's
is
what's
cool
up.
that all those big events we were all three at too. That's cool.
Yeah. No, it's fun, man. I love those events. Like you said, it's cool, Danny, to have people come up who have bought your stuff online, who have never met you.
Yeah.
Or stuff like that. It's like I always love when we do events like that, and it's like, oh, Body Shop. Yeah, I heard a lot about you guys. Well, and my next question is, well, why haven't you been there then?
Yeah.
What's your problem?
Yeah, get out. It is cool though, just the Kansas City like fitness community. How it's as long as I've been in it, it's never really been that strong. And people know everybody. It's a small community, but at the same time, like events like this, S2 has always been great with that. But seeing Body Shop, put together those events as well, because there's a couple of years now running with it. It's pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's definitely some powerhouses like nationally in the industry that are here in Kansas City. So I don't know why it's not something that we do more of.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I love like the Lee Summit one, because it builds the community. You get to go into a place like that, and he's hosting local vendors and stuff. You might come across someone that you either knew or heard of or followed and didn't realize they were local. And that might shift your perspective to be like, all right, I've always kind of paid attention to them, kind of like their service or kind of like their stuff. And now that I know they're local, maybe I'll make the decision to keep it in-house,
Yeah.
Man, I didn't realize when I moved here, we always know that like the East Coast and West Coast are like huge fitness hubs.
Mm-hmm.
Florida, Texas, but like honestly, man, Kansas City is pretty big in itself. Like we have some great gyms here. We have some great athletes here. And people that you wouldn't expect. I mean, we have multiple. I mean, look at people like Hunter Henderson. We have multiple world records. You know what I mean? Pro bodybuilders. Like they're not everywhere. You know what I mean? It's not like they're literally every other person, but like we have a good amount here. Versus where I trained out in Florida, it was like if one guy turned pro, he was like the star of the town. You know what I mean? Versus here, it's like there's so much talent, whether it be fitness shows, powerlifting. I even met with John, I met some of his fashion people, like those models and stuff like that. There's such a wide array of the fitness scene here.
Well, and two amazing podcasts between the Protein Bros and Food, Fitness, and Family as well.
Yeah, that's true.
I had multiple people stop me and say that they are listeners, which is always amazing.
Really?
Yes, I did. Which I'm like,
no one said anything to me. They must hate me. It's because you're so nice.
Well, one dude said,
well, that's why you're Big Daddy and he's Pretty Boy.
Yeah, that's true.
One dude said that he actually stopped me and said, "Mr. Beautiful," and I was like, "That's fucking awesome." And he said he
did it.
Yes, he did. And I was like, all right, that reinforced it. Keep calling me that, Caleb, because that's what people recognize me as. So I thought that was awesome. So, dude, if you're listening,
I like how much you love this, because if these were prison rules and these were those names, you know what you would.
It wouldn't be good. It wouldn't be good. I know. Hey, I'm fast though. I can run away from people.
Yeah, I'm pretty
very
slow.
Not in prison.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Well, good thing. Good thing I only do.
Mark's is so pretty,
good
he'd
shit.
probably be in the women's prison.
Honestly, I'd get out of it somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Mile his
you
way
don't,
through it.
you don't belong here. You don't belong here. Or they just put me
Per-
in
person
a
jumped in
safe
front of
area.
my car.
Marcus is just so nice. He would walk in his back. What's up, guys? How you doing
Yeah.
today?
I bring too much of a good energy. But anyway,
Yeah.
though, let's kind of dive into it though. I think there's a lot that we can talk about with you, Danney. I obviously know your background much more than Caleb does, and just in terms of kind of where you've kind of come from.
I know literally nothing, so I'm along for the ride here.
So let's kind of start on you grew up in the northeast, right? And was it New York or New Jersey? Where was it at?
Yeah, I was born in Maryland, so spent a lot of my time in Ocean City, Maryland. If we were to get like a second home or something, I'd try to do it out there. I miss that place. But then I grew up in New York, not too far from the city. And then series of unfortunate events left us moving across country, and we wound up in Kansas.
Yeah. How long did you move to Kansas City?
I think I was in middle school or maybe my first year of high school.
Okay.
It's been long enough to claim. Like right after college, I was back in New York for a little bit. I still have a lot of connections out there.
Mhm.
Kind of blessed because New York is like a crazy place as far as like population and price and like finding a place to live and people being stacked on top of each other. And like almost all of my connections now in New York are all like business related. It just happened to be that my friend circle now turned into my table that you want to sit at, So like if anything were ever to happen and we had an opportunity in New York, I think we'd be taken care of pretty well. But so been in Kansas 20 plus years.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Kansas, Missouri.
so
I think
you
that. Go ahead.
No, you good, Caleb. What were you gonna say?
Well, I was gonna say I think that whole friends thing, I think that happens without even trying. I think it's you start with one group of friends, and then it's not that like you don't want to be their friends anymore, but your goals and your ideas and your vision shift, and you start to surround yourself with people who have those same visions and ideas. And before you know it, you blink, 5 years goes by, and it's like I have a whole new set of friends, and then it's like, wow, all my friends own businesses. I don't even know how this happened. You know what I mean? It's not that you had nothing mean to say about the other guys you were friends with. It's just you just kind of grew apart because your ideas and your visions and your values changed.
Yeah, you find people to grow with in life.
Yeah.
This is a way.
Yeah, there's a few people in New York that I talk to weekly, maybe bi-weekly, depending on how life goes, that I maybe only see once every 2 or 3 years. And some of them have only been in my circle, like 5 years. And it seems to be that most of them are in the fitness realm, but not entirely. Vincent, a good buddy of mine, also was a business coach for a while, owns Body Blueprint out in New York. We've only met 3 times, but I would say we've spent 700 plus hours talking to each other. So it's just weird how that happens.
That is cool. That is super sweet. So when you went back to New York, what was kind of that time frame of your life looking like? I know you worked at you ran Ainsworth, right?
Yeah, I was working at Ainsworth with Matt Schindel. At the time, kind of like an idol of mine. Not as far as hospitality wise. It might seem more that way now, but he seemed to have all the things that you wanted to check off as you got older. He had 9 restaurants in New York City. Everyone knew his name. He was partners with a bunch of people. Like it was a good experience for me. Now looking back with some success of my own, I don't know if that was the right mentor for me at the time, but it got me to where I was at. So that was super fun. And then I was able to bring the Ainsworth to Kansas City and open it up in Leawood, which was kind of cool for a little bit. I was still a little bit younger then, and I loved the vibe of the New York Ainsworths. They're very much DJ oriented and heavy sports bars. Unfortunately, putting that in Park Place in the middle of Leawood was not a good mesh. No nightlife after 8 o'clock. And
yeah, it's like a ghost town.
Yeah, and Park Place
Great food though. Great food.
Yeah, Park Place already has a lot of businesses struggling. They have a second layer above all the restaurants and stuff there. that are like tenants. So they have Tortoise Investment Group and AMC, like a massive corporation that rent off all those leasing offices above them. So Scott, the guy that runs CPRE, like their management companies, like if we didn't lease any of these bottom level retails, we would still make money. So like it wasn't a huge priority to them, and they could charge what they wanted and do what they wanted, and eventually someone would come by and accept it. So being naive and young and not doing research, like I didn't know that until it was too late. I was paying $20,000 a month in rent for a place that had no parking.
Literally none.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of those lessons, and hopefully, in 5 years, I'm sitting at a table with someone that's thinking about doing the same thing, and I can help maybe prevent that issue for them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Since we're on the restaurant topic, I figured let's just stay here and keep kind of talking about that, because that's obviously a big component of what you do, still, and will continue to do probably forever. And then we'll kind of dive back into the
Don't put that voodoo on me, Ricky Bobby.
No, you're opening up more and more restaurants. You're gonna be in it. Yeah. So where'd you go after Ainsworth? What was kind of restaurant
Ainsworth
look like?
I left there and did some consulting. I decided that I wanted to be a little bit more on my own time. So like worked with Jax, and then wound up ultimately doing a pretty full-time position with Red Door Grill, helping them. And then that turned into more of like what I was trying to get away from, working 60, 70, 80 hours a week for someone, getting results, getting praised for the results, which is probably why some people stick around and do it for as long as they are. Because as humans, we're inherently triggered by vanity, whether we like to admit it or not. So like if someone's constantly patting you on the back, but then the next day calling you and like, I need this, this, and this, and this, you're just going to continue to do it because you're searching for that praise. So maybe Pavlov's law took over a little bit there, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm the guy, I'm going to get it done. But started taking over my life a little bit more than I wanted it to. And knowing that the results were there, I think the issue that some people have, everyone always kind of has a plan. It's like, ready, this is what I want to do. Set, this is how I got to do it. And then they never hit the go phase. They just sit and set. So like ready, set, and never hit go. For me, the go was money. Like I was always paid pretty well, especially during the consulting phase. It was more than I've ever made in my life. But for some odd reason, it was never enough to like go do my own thing, or at least I thought it wasn't. And that's what led to
that money it traps you too, because you're like, oh man, I'm making pretty good money right now, and I'm getting praise, and it's like a double whammy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, at one point I was making bring home $1,800 a week, and I was still having like Sunday off with my family. So like I thought, hey, this isn't bad. But so at some point I was like, I want to spend more time with my family. I want to have some skin in the game, because ultimately, like, I could continue to grow your business for you. And then if you wanted to, you just be like, you're fired.
Yep.
Well, if I was like a partner or involved, you can maybe remove me from my role, but I would still have ownership, So that's when I decided, okay, maybe I don't have the amount of money, the imaginary number in my head that you need to do something on your own. But I was like, I'm going to do it. And that's what led to Harrisonville. I opened a restaurant up in Harrisonville called the 1886. It was a craft cocktail and like fine plates, which obviously Harrisonville had never seen or done before. And it took a couple months, but that took off really, really well.
It was good, man. Good food, good drinks. We went out there once or twice. It was a good spot. It was just in Harrisonville, so it was like that. We got to buckle up for the journey.
Well, and it's funny because from Lee Summit, I can drive to Overland Park in the exact same amount of time it takes me to drive to Harrisonville.
Yep.
But the drive to Harrisonville made me want to do drugs. Like
it's pretty bad.
Well, and you're going that far away from your house and getting less and less things like to do or to have. So it's like I'm driving this far, and the further I go out, the more inconvenienced it becomes that I'm driving further out.
Yeah. So I drive 49 a lot to go pick up equipment, because it seems like anytime I have to go south, I have to take 49. And anytime I go out of town, I get a coffee before I go. And I know I have to hit a Starbucks or something before I get on 49, or I ain't getting shit.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
You're getting that gas station goo.
Oh yeah.
Maybe till like Little Rock. There's nothing. Like literally.
That's crazy. Yeah. So ultimately, the success there, I don't know if it got to my head or I was a new time, like, because the Ainsworth being a partner of, I only had like 20% of that. I didn't make a lot of the decisions. I just got paid and did my job, and also was the GM, so I was there full time. Well, in this one, I wanted to own the business, not work for the business. So I did it for years, like the GM, constantly in there, building the reputation, building the standards, building the quality, building the service, building, our reach in Harrisonville. And then once it got there, I hired a GM, brought them in, and so we were doing really, really good. I was getting X amount of dollars a week from salary, plus every quarter we would take profit share and then split it with the GM. So I was at home 4 days a week, just living, making our bills, plus some, doing what we wanted to do. And so then it kind of got to the point where it was like, well, I'm wasting time. I could be making something else, building something else.
That's another trap. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, if I get nothing else, I at least want to get back out there and develop, like coaching GMs or talking people through things that I've been through before, or just giving back is like the ultimate goal. So it's like, even if I just go in somewhere and help develop general managers, or if I can help someone learn new systems that are more effective, and then every time you go out and do something like that, you kind of realize one thing is that you don't know it all. So you wind up learning as well. So it's like, I don't want to, as much as it sounded like the dream, I was like, I don't want to sit at home right now. Don't get me wrong. My gym routine was on point then, man. I miss it. But so left that, built another restaurant, have to keep that one kind of under wraps, going through a sale with that one right now. So there's like a confidentiality clause that can't like put it out there. But once that one's all paid off, we'll be made pretty whole. It wound up being a good investment for us. But so I opened that one, which led to the most recent one I'm doing. And right as I started doing this one, we sold the 1886 for a good chunk of change. So that helped us out. And I dumped it all into this new spot that we're opening. I took over the old fuel building on 119th in Metcalf. It used to be Fuel and Kansas Hall, and now it's Guitars and Cadillacs. Yeah. And between us was another spot called Tequila Flats, which was owned by Guitars and Cadillacs. And as of last week, it is now owned by us. So
congratulations, man.
Nice, man.
Yeah. It was kind of like a necessity. It kind of sucks because it puts us a little further behind on everything else, trying to open the other one. But I don't know if you guys have been out to that 119th and Metcalf area. There's a massive patio, like a 300-person patio out front.
No, I live right by it. I'm by it all the time. It's huge.
Yeah, and so it was split when Mitch, who owns Guitars and Cadillacs and Tequila Flats, had that spot. We originally tried to take it all, but that front patio spot in front of Tequila Flats belongs to Tequila Flats and Guitars and Cadillacs. We're like, we don't want this median in the middle of this massive patio.
Yeah,
that's true.
So it looks like a jail cell.
Yeah. So it took a lot of negotiations. But we're like, I'm not keeping this fence up. Like, whether we have to rent your patio from you or buy this. And then we got hit by the city for doing too much work before the permit came in, because we submitted to the city, but the city takes about 3 to 5 weeks once they get your permit.
Oh, you ain't gonna tell me.
Oh yeah. And so I was like, all right, it's not a big deal. We're gonna just start work. They're not gonna come by. Well, our AV guys came in there because we're gonna have massive like TV and sound setup in there. I don't know if you guys been to Social in Waldo, but that's another one of our concepts.
It's a great spot, Caleb.
It's gonna be very similar to that. So we're gonna have 4 86-inch TVs behind the bar that connect into one TV. And so the AV guys are going in there to hook that up, and right behind them came the fire marshal. Like, they didn't know any better. They carrying in their equipment, and then boom, here's the fire marshal. So we got to wait till the 1st before we can continue to build out. So that was kind of unfortunate, but it led to the sale of this other place.
Well, hopefully you didn't get fined or anything. You just got a stop.
We just got a stop work notice. And luckily we didn't build anything like crazy or take out.
They could have made you rip it out, or
yeah, there's a chance I might have to change the bar, which is unfortunate because I built a 30-person bar. Like, the bar seats 30 people, and I built it from scratch. And I may or may not have to rip it out.
I would cry.
Let's pray not. Let's pray not.
If I do it,
a
I will
hard
cry
lesson
while
learned.
I do it. But yeah, exactly. And I will sit at a table someday with someone that wants to do this and be like, I can get away with it. And I'm going to preach to them the
No,
reason
don't
why
do
you
it.
should. Yeah.
Don't do it. Yeah, so that's exciting then. So then what is going to be the tortilla flats location? Is that going to be the same bar?
The
or-
Tequila Flats. Yeah.
It's a good thing you're pretty, Marcus.
What did I say?
You said tortilla
Tortilla?
flats.
Ah, shit.
That's fine. It's still close. It's going to be a high-end tequila and taco place.
Yeah.
So we will have like your dirt cheap Taco Tuesday type thing. But other than that, we're going to have like high-end quality tacos and like a tequila selection like no one else has. So it'll be pretty cool.
Love that.
So do you like to just do different concepts all the time? Or like do you want
so
to
the
get
one
into, like,
I'm
opening
opening,
like multiples? You know what I mean?
so the one we're having like a phenomenal amount of success in Waldo at social.
I see it all
and
the time. Yeah, on people's IGs.
yeah,
The
and
bathroom. I don't see it. I see a bathroom.
Huh. That
It's I don't know. Maybe it's not the bathroom. It has like a white floor and there's mirrors and
Yep, that's the bathroom.
That's the
It's like
bathroom.
yeah.
a hallway type thing.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah.
see it all the time.
Well, I guess
Yeah,
a staple, Danny, is making sure you have some dope ass bathrooms.
Yeah.
I think the front of this place will take away from that. We got a few IG traps going into the new one,
Nice.
but the social has a wild amount of success. So we're doing something similar to that. So we're just offering like a better vibe than like a Johnny's or a Tanner's, because they're all kind of like the new Johnny's, I will say, are nice. I like the new Johnny's. They kind of revamped them a little bit. They're not as dark and stuff, but most of these sports bars around town, they are like dark and everything's all wood and it's kind of like old school, which I'm fine. And we don't really want that audience. Like we believe that the pie is big enough for all of us. Like by no means do we want to put a competitor out of business, but by offering that like maybe slightly different experience, like take Johnny's and then upscale it like maybe a half a notch, and that's what we're doing.
Well, and at the same time, you know, it's like I love going out to watch games, but sometimes I just hate eating the same shit food all the time.
Well, and especially
and then I just feel like shit when I leave.
Yeah, the places you just mentioned as well. Like I'm huge on that food either. So what's going to be on your menu is going to be a lot better. And I know
Like
being at all the places you've opened before.
Yeah, like I love going to Vito's to watch the game, but I already know if I'm going, I'm going to feel like dog shit the rest of the day.
Yeah.
So kind of that environment, but like a high energy environment like that, or at least that's the goal, but with a little bit more focus on the food. But we'll see what happens. And then put in a LOI at the space next to Caleb's like 3 weeks ago. So hopefully we hear about something from that. The guy who is helping us, Andy, is kind of like being a gatekeeper away from the executive committee, which like decides the final thing. We keep asking him for the executive committee's information. He won't give it to us. So I think he's just trying to like broker a deal that works for him, since he's part of the executive committee. Like he has ownership in it. So we're trying to find a way to just cut Andy out and go to him. But hopefully that works out for us.
Yeah, even I mean, we had a broker that dealt ours, and like we still had to deal with that.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that he can be a part owner of the situation and still be the realtor on it.
Yeah. I'd have to talk with him the other day because beauty brands complained that we were too loud.
Ooh.
So
and there's a whole space between them.
Yeah, well, I think it was the grand opening.
Mine.
Yeah, I think it was the grand opening, because they said they heard people yelling and weights banging, and the grand opening was like stupid loud. So it was like he got a letter on like the Wednesday after. So I'm like, I guarantee it was Saturday because they wrote a letter. So I'm not too worried about it.
Well, assuming we get the space between you, there'll also be a buffer. We'll have some stuff going on in there.
Yeah.
So that would be nice.
That's super exciting. And what are you going to put in there again?
So I own the rights to two Stretch Lab franchises. Me and my partner have the Parkville license, the Lee Summit license, and the Liberty license. I chose to bow out of the Liberty license. I think the Liberty location is going to sustain itself, especially if we get the right spot. Liberty's got a lot of like nice housing going in there, like over $1 million. especially around the golf course, which is where the like shopping area is.
Yeah.
And so Liberty, I think, is going to be self-sustaining. So I wanted to be more hands-on. And so like Parkville, I know will take more like grassroots marketing and getting out there in the environment and etc.
Yeah.
And Lee Summit, like it's just so close. But I didn't want my day to look like I'm at Overland Park doing the accounting and bookkeeping and making sure that labor is on point and spending's on point at Revel and Tequila Flats and my other restaurant, which we can't talk about as of right now. And then driving, like, let's say to social to have a meeting with my partners, and then driving to Lee Summit to check on Stretch Lab, and then going out to Parkville to make sure that
the hell of a day, bro.
And then driving to Liberty. Like, I
don't even know if you'd be that. I mean, that would be like an 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. day to get all those, hit all those.
Well, that's every corner of the city as well. Pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Every corner plus the central Waldo.
I had to knock out at least one, and so I was like, if there's one spot that I assume if my partner puts a great like leader in, will have the least amount of issues, I feel like it would be Liberty or Lee Summit. And I'm not going to give up Lee Summit. Like I could walk if we get that one that's next to Caleb. So hopefully that all works out. The good news about that is, like, once you have the licenses, you own them. And so even if we can't get a letter of intent submitted and approved, push comes to shove, we can always, there's a my Stretch Labs like owners hub where every week you have like a Friday call with marketers, and it also has like all of the other stores locations like across the United States, and you can see signups and drop-offs and volume and stuff like that. There's also a spot on there where you can buy additional franchises. So if we just can't get it done, we can put it on there and sell them, but we own them for forever. So obviously I'd like to get it open and get some return on this investment, but we're also not just going to get bullied into a lease.
Just because, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, sweet, man. All right, so let's dive into, since this is food, fitness, and family, let's dive into the fitness component of your life. So I know you've competed before. Give us a little bit more kind of detail, because I mean, I think you have a pretty unique way that you handle your own fitness life. So kind of give us some background on that, and like your different experiences with it, obviously competing, the little bit that you did as well, and how has morphed into Underestimated.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely correlates. It all snowballs into me being in a parking lot selling garments. Me and my wife met 12 years ago. And at that time I was maybe at the beginning or adolescence part of my fitness journey. So the two of us pushed each other a lot in the beginning there, which was cool. A lot younger then. But
how old are you now?
Me? I just broke into 40.
Okay.
I'm thinking about returning it though.
I like it.
Yeah. So in the early 20s, I was running some bars and doing stuff like that. So I had all day to do anything I wanted. So I wound up choosing fitness, made some decent acquaintances, and started having role models that like I didn't know, but I was like, oh, that guy kills it, or that guy looks great. So obviously, like everybody new to the game, started doing the comparison thing, and then tried to be like, I can do that, or I want to do that, or I want to look like that. So ultimately the next thing was like, oh, I should compete. Like, let's compete. So then I did a show. It was an NAMBF show. I think it was the Liberty Natural or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, big Liberty show.
Yeah, like
well, it was
years
like
and years and years and
States
years and years ago. Like, I don't know how long you guys have been doing it, but like the people on the stage at that time were like Kyle Warwick, which doesn't compete anymore. And then John, like Family and Muscle, or I think that's his tag.
Yeah.
And Michael Brabeck, he was like just fucking winning every show back then. So like just a long time ago.
2014,
so
2015 time frame.
I think it might have been a little earlier.
Yeah.
So then I did that in the men's physique. The first one I went to, there were 45 of us. It was insane.
That is insane.
And I was backstage and I was like, I don't know if this is right. So I mean, I just got smoked. I got obliterated. So then I got a coach, and I got into like crazy conditioning. At the time, he was working for Hitch Fit, and my buddy Micah owns that. We actually just partnered up with him. He is involved with something called Rock Body Retreats, and we just partnered up with them to do like bags for all the retreats full of goodies and stuff. But teamed up with a guy there. He now owns his own gym out in St. Joe, I believe. Is that where the tornadoes hit like some years ago? St. Joe? I don't know.
I have no idea.
Anyways, but he got me in great shape, like insane shape, best shape I've ever been in. But I was just too small. Like, I think my stage weight was like in the 140s. I was like, I was just a frame. Like, I was super depleted. Like, I just didn't have the muscle mass for it.
Caleb, did you just say nice?
Yeah.
I was hella depleted.
Yeah.
So I did that one. I actually placed in that one. And so then it's like, I'm going to do another one. So I wound up getting 5 or 6 under my belt before I got like the size to symmetry ratio down. And don't get me wrong, I was typically always the smallest. So the very first time that the NAMBF did a show in Loveland, Colorado, I did that one and I won that one. And I wanted to place first, like just once. So after that, I got first and I was like, I told you all I would do it, and I did it, and I'm done. And then thank God, because I mean, fast forward 7, 8 years, a men's physique competitor now, especially if you want to like turn it into any kind of income, good luck, dude. You're bigger than the bodybuilders. Like,
Yeah, they're big.
so don't get me wrong. Like, some people have a passion for being on stage and it like lights their fire, and that's awesome to do it. But the amount of time, effort, and discipline it takes to be like top notch in the bodybuilding, physique, powerlifting, any of those regions, it is more than a full-time job. So if you're going to do it just for passion and not get paid, kudos to you. But I have to justify the amount of time and hours I put into something, because it takes away from something else, ultimately my family or my business.
Yep.
And for me at that time, I got to the place I wanted to be. And maybe for most people, like they win, they're like, oh, I'm going to keep going, I'm getting better. It just solidified it for me. And like, it was the end. Like, I hit the goal. I didn't hit it and was like, oh my God, I need more. And so I stopped that and started enjoying family a little bit. And that's what led into Underestimated. My family's on the East Coast. We were taking a road trip out to the East Coast, and like 3 days before we left, I knew that I wanted to just be in lounge clothes like the whole time. I was like, I'm just going to be decked out in sweats the whole time we're gone. So I got online and bought like some Nike joggers, and we're driving to Ohio to see some family before we had a daughter. My wife is like, I really like those joggers. I was like, good. I got 4 pairs of them. I was like, I love them. And she's like, how much are they?
My wife hates it.
Yeah, she's like, how much are they? I said $90. I thought she was going to fucking throw me out of the car, dude. She's like, she's like, dropped every insulting name you can think of. Like, and by the end of it, it was just the consensus of, I think you're an idiot. You're a moron. What is wrong with you? And so on the drive there, I'm just driving, like gripping the steering wheel, like I'm gonna rip it off, and like looking out the window. And finally, like right before we stopped somewhere, like a gas station or food, I was like, fine, I'm just gonna make my own. Conversation been dead for like an hour and a half, and it's still in my head.
Yeah.
And so like turn the radio off. I was like, fine, I'm gonna make my own. She's like, okay, I'm sure you will. And I was like, no, that made it even worse. Why'd you talk to me like that?
Yes. Now I'm going to.
And then 18 months later, young and naive, I didn't take any help. I didn't, which is the first mistake. Like, I didn't reach out to anyone. I had friends and acquaintances that had done it very successfully. Like my friend Chase owns Charlie Hustle. Like, I easily could have reached out to him and just got some pointers or guidelines or something, you know? Mm-hmm. But I was like, no, I did it all like at night while she was asleep, low key, didn't tell anyone. Launched it, got the LLC, got my EIN, got my resale license, got a manufacturer, placed the first order, went completely broke. And I was just so pumped. Like, you wouldn't know that I had 6 cents in my bank account, but I was like on cloud 9. Ready. Yeah. And I was like, so it came in and she's like, this stuff's pretty decent. I'm proud of you, blah, blah. I was like, perfect. And she's like, how much did you spend? I was like, I don't know exactly, but I did. And then I was like, but if we sell out everything that you see here, we're going to make $78,000. Like, I had done the math. I was like, we're going to give away this percentage of product. We're going to do this. It's going to be great. So then I taught myself how to write code, and I built our first web page. Like it was a WordPress document. It was a WordPress like site, and I built it all, did it all myself. Also a mistake. And then we launched it, and we didn't have a sale for like 4 months. And I was like, so if we were to sell all this is what we would make. But no one knows who we are.
Yeah, you're only like, oh, we're gonna sell this, make this much money, but then you never think, well, but no one knows who we are.
Yeah. How's this?
Oh yeah, it was eye opening. So that's why anytime the biggest advice I give to anyone that wants to do apparel, because everyone's like, oh, I want to make my own t-shirts. I mean, there's a cost-effective way to do it. So even if you don't like sell out, you don't lose your house or anything doing it. But it's a longevity game. Like, we've had more success in the past 18 months than we did in the first 2 years. Like, it is insane. But I will admit, we started it wrong. So like, had to get all the nicks and bruises of learning as you go so that you could be strong and resilient now. But if anyone wants to do it, just be prepared for a longevity game. The longer you do it, the more people will know about you. And as long as you keep your customer service on point and you're more of a community base versus a profit base, I think you'll do okay.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's been awesome to be a part of that journey as well, because I think it was like what 2020 when we kind of started working together. I think it was.
Kind of. You had just finished a show,
Yeah,
and I'd gone there to see Kai. Have you guys had him on?
No.
Okay.
I competed at Worlds though, and then I think we kind of touched base after that.
Yep. And brought him on, and he's been one of the best athletes as far as like exposure and content that we have, for sure. Him and Micah Allen are our best.
Yeah, Micah definitely does it.
Wow, Marcus, you suck.
No, not me.
Oh, nice talking about this other guy. I was like, wow, good job, Marcus.
Oh, fuck you. I know you were
do better.
Yeah.
No, and so you know, I think I've had like every piece that you've obviously put together, and it just continues getting better and better and better. And it's awesome to see because you totally left out even where you've got to at this point now, because now you're doing, you know, we went to Olympia last year. You're going back this year. I won't be there.
We got invited last year. It was crazy.
Yeah. Yes, tell us about that, because I mean the Olympia, that was a
That's
dream
huge
for me to go to, especially not just to go there as a fan and a spectator, but like actually being a part of the expo was fucking awesome.
I will say the most rewarding thing about the Olympia, my cousin Austin, who's big into the bodybuilding world right now, he's had some scares, but like he built his life around it for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you and Emily, like having my athletes there that like were in the community and like live this life more than just the average Joe, seeing them geek out. Oh my God, it was worth every penny it took to get there. My cousin constantly like, oh my God, you see that? That's Dude, Justin. Oh my God,
he was like a 5-year-old at Disney, just like in it. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
and then Marcus came over. He's like, dude, I just got our shirts from Kevin, and I just went and saw Lee Priest. Like, everybody was just like buzzing. It didn't matter that we were standing in that booth for 10 hours that day. Everybody was just like on it.
I bet it was crazy.
Yeah, so it was cool to like give back something that wasn't monetary value but was memorable. Like, even if Underestimated disappears in a year, or I let go all our athletes or something like that, like they will have that experience that was strictly because Underestimated was in their life, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Do you think the Olympia did a lot for you as far as like boosting your brand and your sales and awareness?
I'll be honest, I don't know if it did much for awareness. I didn't do any kind of like, I didn't want to get in over my head. So like I did very basic. I didn't pay for any of the marketing or exposure that the Olympia offers. Like when you get a booth, there's like 18 other packages that you can also get with your booth.
Oh yeah, and a lot of people they'll sink every dime they have into the Olympia, and it's like that's either going to make or break them.
Yeah. And so I, being the first timer, just humbled to be invited. Like I never even thought about it, and they reached out to us. They're like, we saw what you did with the Underestimated challenge and Chiefs Fit thing, and we thought that was awesome. Your video popped up on one of our people's feeds, and they sent it to us, and they're like, that's great. And they started asking me how I got all those sponsors there. I gave probably $400 away worth of stuff from a bunch of different companies to everyone that competed, like just for coming. Like, here you go, gave out cash prizes. And
let's dive into
like,
that next as well, because I know that that's something you want to get back into growing after we did that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that video started circulating. Someone from the Olympia got it, and they reached out to me and they're like, hey, talk to me about this. And I told them what it was about and why I wanted to do it. And they're like, we think you should be at the Olympia. And like, hand invited me. It was kind of cool. But I didn't want to get in over my head. So I did everything that was required, and kind of got my feet wet. But I didn't do like, here's a free shaker if you follow us on Instagram. I didn't do anything to build our own exposure. And I didn't want my athletes to feel like I expected a bunch from them right off the bat with me not being there before and not knowing how to run it. So I didn't have anyone walking around handing out cards or directing traffic to our booth. So I will say we had both days in the tens of thousands of dollars in sales, which has never happened before. So nice. Obviously, you know, those people now know about us, or whether it was just an impulse buy or what. So the financial aspect of going was amazing, but as far as like exposure afterwards, there's maybe an influx on online sales for like 2 or 3 days of people that were like, oh, I wanted this size, and we're like, well, we have it, just get online and order it. But after that, it just kind of went back to normal. We did get a lot more posts, like tags, for like 5 or 6 months, but like no massive boosts. Like we just now did a team up that will launch on the 6th with Icon Meals. And they have like 118,000 followers, and they sponsor the UFC. Nice. Like this Saturday, the UFC center logo on the mat is Icon Meals. So that's why we're building this promotion around them. But we're going to give away $500 worth of merchandise to 4 people, 2 guys, 2 girls. And they're going to give away $1,000 worth of meal prepped food to 4 people. Wow. That's huge. And all you have to do is follow them and follow us. So by following us, you're going to get $1,500 worth of things for 4 people. And then immediately after that, we're doing a giveaway very similar to that with Super Coffee. Super Coffee is going to send out $500 worth of coffee because they have protein coffee, and we're going to do $500 worth of apparel. So all of those organic connections I've met through Underestimated by just doing community events like the Underestimated Challenge.
Dude, I think people really underestimate what these community outreaches can do and the networking that you can make. And a lot of times it's not even worth, like, you don't go out to these just because of you can make some sales. You go out to these because you're going to meet people that you'll never meet unless you're there, and that can do a lot for your business.
Oh yeah.
Agreed. I use my LinkedIn as a resource to like provide information like that. Like, and one of the biggest things that I've learned is like, so I don't know who your guys' idols are or who's doing what you've done on a level that you want to get to, but a lot of the times when someone gets to that super successful thing and they have that result, they're not looking for more monetary gain. So like if you just ask for a seat at that table, like, hey, I want to get to where you're going. I want to have the conversations you're having. I want to be in the circles that you're in. Like over half of those people get the joy like I do out of developing coaching and helping someone else win, that they're going to let you. Like without going to these networking events, like I would have never met Jeff Wasserman, and he's helped me out a bunch. I would have never met you two, which have both now in my community either helped me grow my brand or awareness, or I've been able to give back. Like
or just friendship.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Our general manager that I hired for Stretch Life Elite Summit, he's like, I'm going to do bodybuilding. I'm going to do classic. I don't know which one. He's like, I need a coach. And so immediately I was like, well, I'm going to pay for you to join Caleb's gym, and he's going to be your coach. He's like, all right, well, I'd like to meet 2 or 3. And so I put him in front of Caleb first. And then if Caleb closes, which I imagine he will, I don't have to, but I'll put him in front of a couple other ones too. But like
I've basically closed, but he said he's just waiting until he starts with you, but he's going to go with me. Yeah.
Awesome. I mean, if he wants to start, I'll float him until he starts. Like, I'm not concerned. But building that community is like more joy to me than building like our brand sales. Like the sales will follow if we do it right. But if you find someone that's doing super well, like I took Marcus to an HPLT event, and he was sitting with CEOs and like company leaders and innovators, and I'm positive he could just get on Instagram and message one of them, and they'd write him back.
Yeah. They were all awesome. It was so cool to sit with those people.
Yeah,
and to work out with them.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
helps
Michael Hearn was
to
there.
know. Yeah, that's crazy. It really helps to know people, and it's like when I only know a little bit about the HPLT event that you guys did, and it was brutal, but it's like when you go through something like that with someone else, like you create this bond.
Yeah.
And it's like, excuse me, I'm sorry. Some of my closest friends, they have two things in common, and they're either, well, actually they all have one thing in common. They're extremely hard workers, and it's like they either work hard in business or they work really hard in fitness, which translates to business. And if you can see someone in the gym like push themselves to the brink of breaking, then without knowing what they're about, it's like I can almost trust them with business type stuff, because if they're willing to do that, then it's like,
well, and imagine doing it with them.
Yeah.
Let's say the three of us go and do something crazy, like, hey, so I have a goal every year to do one thing that is like outlandish, like something that I never normally would have done. So let's say next year I'm like, I'm going to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, and you guys are like, yeah, let's go. If the three of us go through that, even if we don't talk for 20 years,
that's a bond.
Call each other. Yeah, there's zero chance that we would ever build a bond that strong organically.
Yeah,
it's impossible. So
like, dude, Marcus, remember when you slipped on that fucking rock and almost fell down the mountain? That
bro,
shit was so
trip
funny.
so much when we go hiking. It's fucking stupid.
He's like,
he's got tiny legs.
Fuck you.
When Big Daddy Stringer Love had to pull you up off that cliff, that was so dope.
Marcus grabbed my hand.
Tell us about the challenges, though. I totally forgot that that was obviously something that you want to grow more into. The first one, what, 2020, end of 2021?
I think it was 2022, but yeah.
Okay, cool.
Because I'm not sure Chiefs Fit was there in 2021.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, it was 22, I think.
So Brian Mazza, we had worked together in hospitality before he turned into the fitness guru that he is now, with his hybrid training, kind of like Nick Bear. But he started throwing these events. I was like, I got to be a part of them. Don't get me wrong. I think everyone should at least try one. The growth mindset and the motivation you get once you get back is bar none, like nothing you'll ever experience. Not to mention the networking. He is great at putting a bunch of people in a room and letting the networking happen. I went to one of those, and it was insane. I left with this phone number of the CEO of Vital Proteins, CEO of Icon Meals. John Gaggs, who owns Kane Footwear, which is now on every NFL and college football player's feet.
And Marcus Gates everywhere I go.
Yeah, and #1 recovery shoe in the U.S. right now. Like, regardless of what he's accomplished, he just sat in that room and had a non-alcoholic beer with us and fucking chilled, and you wouldn't have known it. And then he told his story, and you're like, holy cow, I had dinner with that guy for 3 hours last night, and we didn't talk about Kane Footwear once.
Yeah.
And so, like, seeing the power of, like, just putting like-minded people in the room and not telling anyone who's achieved what, you all just start as peers, was mind-blowing.
Yeah, it was cool.
And so I was like, you know what? I want to build a community of like-minded people here in Kansas City. There's no reason that you should have to pay $3,000 to fly across the country and do it with someone else just because they have brand recognition or they have 350,000 followers. Like, we have the same thing here. We have the same people. We have the same experiences. We have the same knowledge. We have the same experts. Like, why not do it here? So for those summits to be successful, there were multiple days. You had like a host hotel. You do a crazy workout. You'd have lunch. You do a crazy workout. There'd be a speaker, and then you do it all over again. I wanted to start with the workout because the workout is like what bonded the people. So when you sat with when the speaker was on, you sat next to those people that you just did that workout with, because you're like you said, you're bonded now. So I wanted to start with that workout. So I reached out to all these people that I'd recently met and was like, hey, I love absolutely everything that we just did. I love you guys' brand. You've got me hooked, et cetera, et cetera. And so got Canes to send free shoes for every single participant, got Mad Tasty CBD water, got NoCo Energy, got Junk headbands, got Vital Proteins, got Icon Meals, got Moxie socks. Like, a ton of people just send free stuff because they were about the vision as well. I was like, I want to build this. I don't want people to talk about it. And this is one way to do it, like a dope swag bag. But to get the swag bag, you're going to crawl through the trenches of hell. You're going to go through the dark place, and we're going to all do it together. And we're going to talk about it for I don't know how long. And
Caleb, I puked in the first like 6 minutes, I think.
No, it looked fun. Yeah.
No, it was not. It was fucking awful. I puked
Well, like,
6
not
minutes
like-
in. I wanted
Yeah.
so bad to go get my car and go back home after.
the next day, everyone that I talked to was like, that was great.
That was awesome.
Every single person. So
Well, if
it might
Marcus
have hurt
puked
in
in
the
6
moment.
minutes, I'd probably puke in 3.
My lungs hurt for like 5 days.
Yeah.
It was
Which
awesome.
is crazy because
so
he did
good.
the HPLT with me, and this was a third of that.
Oh yeah, definitely a third of it.
Yeah.
And we weren't like sleep deprived and everything else on top of it.
Yeah, but and then it was just reaffirming the buzz around it. Everyone that did it was like, we got to do this again. This was so fun. This was so fun. So now I want to do it on a bigger scale. So I'm working with I'm trying to get the Crown Center Hotel to like be a host hotel, and then I'm trying to find like a gym big enough to do it out there. And then if so, line up like 2 local experts, entrepreneurs in the fitness industry that have either have their own gym or launched their own supplement or done something like that can speak to it, so the people that are in the audience also have something they can take away outside of the fitness. But we would do some crazy workout one day and then have lunch, have a speaker, then go do like a more relaxing type workout, and then everyone go to the Crown Center and sleep, and then next day wake up, do another crazy workout, have a speaker, crazy workout, then have a big like family dinner where the speaker, and then send everyone home. And so I'd like to do that on a grander scale. This one we're going to call the Underestimated Challenge Invitational. You won't be allowed to come unless you're invited. And all of the 6 athletes that competed last time will be allowed to, I think there were 8 athletes, sorry. They'll all be allowed to invite 4 people. So if they invite those 4 people and they all accept, this is more of like what I'm trying to get to. And then ultimately, like once every 6 months, we'll have big speakers come in that are like leaders in industry and give speeches about where they've been, what they've done, how they did it. And then in between those, have like grueling workouts that like make you rely on each other. And then rinse, wash, and repeat, rinse, wash, and repeat.
I love that, dude. I'm fucking hyped up right now.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, I know it's gonna be brutal, but it sounds like fun.
Oh yeah,
Caleb, I'm gonna make sure that I invite you. And
I already know I'm not getting out of this shit.
I want to watch you fucking.
You're 100% in it. He's gonna be the Jake, dude. Except we need to find an Olivia to carry him.
No shit.
I'm stronger than I look mentally. I'll make it through.
Yeah. So of all my things, I would say coaching and developing, like trying to give back, or like if I can help 10 people and 8 of them become more successful than me, who cares? Like, I bet you of those 8 people, they're going to be like, Jesus. Give praise to Danney, you know? So that would probably be my number one thing. And then that's what led me into hospitality, because now I'm at the point in hospitality where you could put me in a restaurant, I'm going to make it work. So instead of me being the answer, I looked to coach the answers. And then I would say underestimated is probably my second passion. Only reason for that is because of these three things. Because what?
Because you want to prove your wife wrong.
Well, yeah, I think we're past that point. Now we're dropping women's clothing like every month. We've got new women's stuff like every single month now. Yeah. So, and she's actually on board now. For the first like 2.5 years, it was just something she's like, I really wish this stuff wasn't in the garage. I was like, I understand. But
dude, I know that feeling. If my wife hit her shin on one more piece of equipment, I thought I was gonna get shanked.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
My wife knows better. She wouldn't do anything physical, but her mental abuse game is insane. She would have me rocking back and forth in the garage with a box on my head, praying to God that all this stuff just disappeared.
Awesome. Tatiana goes, "Let me see your armpit," and she like uppercuts my armpit. Yeah, let me see your armpit. And she goes like 5 times.
That's awesome. Well, since
he's like, I deserve this.
Since you brought that up, Danney, I think a big component of it. And this is from knowing you and the family, obviously, Danielle and Jaden. I feel like you've done an amazing job of making that still your top priority. I mean, you brought that back, brought that up multiple times kind of throughout this. And so, I mean, being a restaurateur like you are, running multiple restaurants, running an apparel company, doing maintaining your fitness and health along the way, doing all that as well is very impressive. But obviously to keep your family integrated and all that and as a top priority, we don't need to talk a ton about it, but definitely give us some kind of tips and just like your mindset and how you've prioritized that.
Before we got to where I was at, so when Jaden was born, I was running a restaurant, and then I was like Monday through Friday, and they didn't care the hours that I worked. I just had to work 65 hours. So through Monday through Friday, I'd work 65 hours. But Friday, I would get off at 3. I would drive to Lake of the Ozarks, be there by 5, bartend at Horny Toad Friday night, get up, go bartend at Coconut Saturday, bartend at Horny Toad Saturday night, and then drive home. And then I would have Sunday like exhausted, and then do Monday through Friday again. And I did that almost 6 months out of her first year being born. And I never felt exhausted or tired, or I just felt like motivated. But then like so many things were happening. Like she was walking or crawling or having her first birthday and I wasn't there. And then our house flooded. We went out of town, our house flooded and got black mold. And so like the county came and like put a hazmat thing over your house and like you couldn't be in it. And we got a hotel. And that's when it kind of clicked, because I had been hustling for 6 straight months. We had lots and lots of money in the bank and now it was all gone. Just boom. We wound up filing a lawsuit against people who sold us a house and it all turned out. But in that moment, I was like, all right, not only have I missed like a ton of stuff, but I have a ton of memories now from doing all this other stuff that don't include my family, which makes me feel selfish. And I was saving up all this money for our family with no real end goal. And now it's all gone. And like, what was the point? Like life happened. And in between, I justified not being around so that I could, handle when life happened. And then it happened and it was like, this is so emptying. I felt so defeated.
Yeah.
Where I'm sure my wife and anyone else on the outside looked at him like, oh, well, thank God you were doing what you're doing because we had the money to get back into our house. But I saw it completely differently. So that started a shift. And then COVID happened and I spent 6 days, 9 hours a day with Jaden. And like from that point on, it was insane because I was running Ainsworth at that time and we didn't close. Like we fired all our staff, which is me and a chef, but me and Jaden just running around in that building. I'd box up food and she'd dance on the bar or color on the tables, because obviously there was no childcare at that time either. Mm-hmm. So the two of us, I'd pull a sled around in there on the concrete, like Clydesdale. Like we did all sorts of shit. And from that point forward, it's like, I will never miss these things again. And that's kind of what developed into me not wanting to do so much work for other people anymore and still have the same end result. Mm-hmm. And then obviously I love spending time with my wife, but Jaden was the catalyst. And I think it just brought our marriage even closer and closer together. Our marriage is, I don't know, people don't share their bads with us or anything, but I'd say I have one of the strongest marriages of anyone I know.
Yeah.
It's awesome, man.
That's huge. I would agree just from the outside looking in.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm going to plead the fifth because I don't know.
That's fair. I will say if you're on Facebook or you're on Instagram or you're looking around, you're not going to find my personal. I keep my personal in my home. So if anyone's like, oh, I follow Danney on Instagram, I promise you they follow Underestimated or one of my restaurants. Like, I don't even have a personal Facebook. And like a lot of people don't know anything about my personal life and I'm okay with it.
Thanks for sharing. You shared a lot today.
They always say the best relationships, like they don't post on socials because they just keep their shit private because you're not trying to make up for what's wrong. You're not trying to put it out there and make up for it. It's like, and I think also that goes to show that you keep your problems internal when you do have problems. So many people are quick to complain to their friends about their problems or whatever it may be. Now Marcus and I, we may be like, oh man, I got my ass tore up this morning, or you know what I mean? But like, we're not like constantly looking to our friends for relationship advice, and then like they say, like you have a group of friends, one gets divorced, and before you know it, the rest are divorced because that one cancer is in there, and it's like basically talks everyone out of their relationships.
Yep. I'm a huge believer in that 5-person rule, except I think like a lot of the gurus have it wrong. They always say, oh, if you hang out with 4 millionaires, you'll be the 5th millionaire. If you hang out with 4 idiots, you'll be the 5th idiot. I do believe that. But they spin that 5 closest thing as like you need to be around the 5 biggest achievers so that you can level up. But I feel like there needs to be 1 peer, 2 people to look up to, and 1 person to coach. Because a lot of those times, if you find those people that have a table of 5 CEOs, they've lost like all human compassion, all emotion, all ability to like relate. I feel like without having that 1 person to coach and that 1 peer, you lose the sight of where you came from. Like you are somewhere now, congratulations. And the 4 other people that you're with are somewhere now, congratulations. But when's the last time that you helped someone get to where you are? When's the last time you let an outsider into your place? Like, I feel like if you have 5 people and they're all like those savages, instead of adding another chair to the table, you're just putting another plank on your fence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I could agree with that.
Definitely, man. Well, Danney, thanks for being on today, brother. I like you said, you keep your home life personal and close to you, but you obviously, divulged a lot of information about just your journey and whatnot, your relationship and your own mindset. So I definitely appreciate it. I know Caleb does as well.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, man.
Yeah, definitely. I really wanted everybody to get to know who Danney is and who underestimated is, but obviously shout out again, where everybody can find you at, between underestimated, obviously.
You guys got the polished professional version.
The new
I like it.
Give us the new restaurant locations as well. I know you've already mentioned it, but just circle back to that real quick.
Yeah, okay. Underestimated is underestimated.fit. It seems so much more appealing than .com.
Yeah.
It seemed to just fit. So underestimated.fit is our website. If you want to go look at more of the pretty boy, he's on there. We also have
beautiful.
An Instagram at b.underestimated. And then our restaurants, Revel will be opening here in the next 30 to 45 days. It's at 119th and Quivira. And then the spot next to it, hopefully a month after that, going to do a little rehab there. You can always catch us at Social and Waldo. And then Stretch Lab, our locations for the Stretch Labs will become public now. I don't want to get too much into that because there are other Stretch Lab franchisees owners in the Kansas area, but I don't think that they're being ran the way that they should be or properly. So I think any word or buzz about Stretch Lab in town right now either is negative or unheard of. Yeah. So we're kind of like holding until right before we open to start doing that, so that once we do shift people's mindsets, they come to us and not to one of these places that I feel like we have to help reestablish the brand with. But those will be posted here shortly. But Lee Summit will be the first one, and hopefully you can catch us next to the body shop in Lee Summit.
Yeah, I hope so, man. It'd be nice. I think we could do well for each other.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure.
And it's always nice having a neighbor that you get along with.
Yeah, until we're neighbors.
Yeah. And they'll be like, the fucking gym is so loud.
Dude, put a ceiling in. I can hear everything.
Oh. I paid all this extra money for these thick fucking floors, and people are like, it's so loud. Well, I mean, you want me to have 1.5 inches of rubber? I don't know what you want.
Well, sweet, man. Danney, appreciate it, brother. Thanks for being on.
Thanks for the invite. It means a lot. Hopefully you guys have a good day.
Yeah. Definitely. You guys too. Everybody else have a great week.
I'm out of here. I'm going to go to the bathroom before I go out myself here.
All right.
I'll see you guys.
All right, later, guys.